Hey everybody, how are you doing? Welcome to the Yarn Thing podcast with Marley Bird. You can catch the Yarn Thing podcast live every Tuesday morning at 10 o'clock Mountain Time. That's 12 o'clock on the East Coast, 9 o'clock on the West Coast, and 11 o'clock in the Midwest. If you're anywhere else in the world and would like to join us live for the broadcast, please Google what time 10 o'clock Mountain Time is for you. I do live in Denver, Colorado, and you can come and join the fun. Better yet, now that the podcast is here on YouTube, you can always just click subscribe to the Marley Bird YouTube channel. Make sure you hit that little bell button and you will be notified whenever I go live or whenever I release a video. So, yay, you get both things just with a little click. So click that. You will notice that here during the summer months, we are doing the live broadcast as close to 10:30 as possible. So we did have to move it back a little bit because of my schedule with the kids out of school and in sports. Being able to be in my office by 10 o'clock was impossible because I have to pick up both boys by 10 o'clock. So I'm able to pick them up, get home here, and jump on right around 10:30. So thank you for bearing with us today as we started off a little bit late. We had some technical issues. Word to the wise, if you're going to use Google Hangouts, use Chrome, not Firefox, to open it up because, I mean, who knew? We didn't know. It just works better for whatever reason. So let's see. So this is the Yarn Thing podcast. We have some lovely sponsors. Let's say thank you to them. Creative Bug, Craftsy.com, Erin Lane Bags, Buffalo Wool Company, Stitches.events, and last but not least, Red Heart Yarns, where I'm the proud national spokesperson. You can learn more about our sponsors by visiting marleybird.com and clicking the drop-down menu for podcast. There you will find a direct link to the sponsors and all the show notes. That will be important later on if you want a chance to win a prize. All right, so I think that's it for that. Today's guest is a brand new guest to the show, and I'm excited to have her joining us here because she is bringing us some information that I don't even know. And so I'm thrilled to get to know Kristina of Tiny Curl. She's an Amigurumi expert and a photography expert, and I'm thrilled to have her here joining us on the show. So let's say hello to her. So hello, Kristina. How are you?
Good. How are you?
I am doing fantastic. Happy 4th of July, by the way. I know we're a day early, but loving your earrings, by the way. I meant to say that earlier and I forgot. Yeah. I would totally dig those. They're so cute. I love those. So Kristina, I know that you are big into amigurumi and crochet and all of that stuff, but why don't we talk about where, sorry if I just hit my microphone. Let's talk about where it all started for you. Like, let us get to know you just a little bit.
Sure. So I started crocheting in 2013, around then, and I started knitting in high school, but I never finished a project because I found it so tedious. Like, it took too long to finish something. So when I discovered crochet, I loved that you could make things a little bit faster. Mm-hmm. And I'm just like one of those people that needs to be doing something productive all the time. Like, if I'm in a long car ride, I need to have something that I'm doing, or else I feel like I'm wasting time.
Yes.
So I love to have my crochet projects, like if I'm watching a movie or in a car ride. So that's really where I started. And then I've always really been into illustration. And when I discovered amigurumi, it tied illustration together for me. So I could take characters that I was drawing and doodling and turn them into a physical 3D object using crochet and amigurumi. And then from that point on, that's pretty much all that I was making. So really that's my yarn life beginning. And then I just started sharing my works on Instagram, and I found such an amazing yarn community on Instagram that I've never really had living in Miami, just because it's hot. No one's wearing sweaters. No one's really making scarves or anything like that. So Instagram had been a really great place to meet people that are into the same things that I was.
Fantastic. That's cool. I think you're one of the first people that have mentioned Instagram as being like this big thing for you, which is fantastic. I think that's going to be more common now than it has been in the past. So I love that you draw and you make your own, 3D characters that you've drawn out. It reminds me of Megan Kreiner, who also works for DreamWorks, and she does something similar, when she draws stuff and then and I'm just like in awe of it because I mean, it's no secret. I've talked about it on the podcast, 3D toys and stuff. And I just don't get along. Like, I don't know what it is. There is a mind block there. I can make a sweater all day long, but something about a toy, I struggle like immensely. When you first made your first toy, was it just really instinctive? You just like, oh yeah, this, I got this.
Yeah, actually, I have my first thing that I made that was a toy, and his name's Henry. I've shared him before, but I just started crocheting like what I knew. I learned how to make a ball first in amigurumi, and really what amigurumi is just different combinations of shapes. So like this would be the start of a ball, and then it continues on into an oval. And so I just started making, and I didn't even give him arms because I just liked him better that way. But so yeah, this was my first amigurumi piece that I made. And then from that point, it just clicked for me where it's funny that you say that 3D shapes don't really click for you, because I'm the same with apparel or like blankets and things like that. It's a lot harder for me to think in a flat surface, or how pieces come together to make a sweater or something like that,
Uh-huh.
than what shapes it would take to make a doll. Like that
Yeah.
comes very naturally to me. So that's why I've just gravitated more towards amigurumi.
I love that. That's fantastic. So talk to me about how you decided, okay, I'm gonna, do you do this full time? Like, tell me how your company came to be.
Yeah, so I quit my job. I was working a corporate job in marketing, and I just really didn't feel like I connected with the work I was doing, yet I was doing it all the time. So I was working like 60, 70-hour weeks doing something that I didn't really love. And so I felt like I wanted to change. And I had been crocheting before and making some amigurumi, but just kind of as a hobby. And at that point, I said, okay, I want to quit my job in order to pursue something more creative. So I'm going to give it a go for a year and see where it takes me. And so I started, I think, before someone who would quit their job and start something should have. But it really helped me because it gave me the time and room to grow Tiny Curl, grow the brand, develop a design style that really spoke to me. And in that way, I feel like I needed the time. And now I have a part-time job now, so I kind of work part-time doing Tiny Curl and part-time at another job. And so because I've taken it to a point where I'm able to work more, I'm able to work less on Tiny Curl, but keep continuing my forward momentum. But yeah, my goal would be to make this my full-time gig. But right now it's still growing, and it's still collecting steam. But hopefully one day.
That's so cool. That's so great. So, what was your first avenue into like making a career? Like, did you start with Ravelry? Did you start with Etsy? What's your path?
Yeah, so first I started with a product-based business. So I did Etsy. And then I realized pretty quickly that making products to sell, especially in the crochet or knit world, it takes so much time to make a product. As I'm sure everyone watching and knows, it takes so long to make even a really small doll. And I found that the market, for me at least, wasn't willing to pay the amount that it took to make the item. So I found that one, I wasn't going to be making as much as I should for the time it takes to make each piece. And then I also realized that what I enjoyed most about amigurumi and crochet in general is designing and coming up with new items and not necessarily making the same ones over and over again. So I quickly moved from a product-based kind of mindset and business to more of a pattern or service kind of thought process and business. So right now I'm still making the transition because I want to fully move over to designing full time. So that's where like the designer amigurumi book comes in. I've designed some things for magazines, and then I sell patterns in my shop. And then also like the service-based aspect in a more creative broad spectrum, like my photography class and branding and other elements that I can take from my skill set in order to build Tiny Curl's kind of ecosystem.
That's so
That's so
awesome.
awesome.
Oop, did I
Oop,
got,
did I get?
I'm getting
I'm getting
feedback. Are you
feedback. Are
hearing
you
it?
hearing it? Nope, not anymore.
Who knows? That's great. So when you are making the patterns up the design and such, like do you have particular yarns you like to use, particular colors? Do you have an aesthetic? Well, how would you describe it?
Yeah, I love cotton yarn mainly, especially for amigurumi. Cotton yarn is the best because it has really great stitch definition. It doesn't really pill as much. It's kind of sturdy enough that it's not too stretchy where I'm going to get huge holes in my work. So yeah, cotton yarn's my favorite. Some cotton yarns that I really love are paint box yarns, which is the Love Crochet signature yarn. I really love the new Rico Rumi yarn. So Rico Design just created a amigurumi specific yarn. And so they come in these little tiny 25-gram balls. So it's really good for little pieces. And I really love those 100% cotton yarns, especially for amigurumi. And then my design process would be, I always start with a sketch. So I would take, I have my sketchbook here. So let me see.
Cool. I love that. I love
Yeah.
looking at people's sketchbooks because I mean it's just like it's like the workings of your brain.
Yes. Okay, so this is a good one. So this one is a cloud that I made recently with Rico Rumi. So I made sketches first. So like it kind of is a progression of different shapes of the cloud, or like with or without the sun hat. And then I'll finalize the pattern and then bring it to Adobe Illustrator and make that a vector so I can infinitely scale it. And then I make kind of a graph where I can see exactly how many inches each little square is. So I kind of make it so that I know how big it needs to be in the end. And then I have that here too. So then when I make it, then I'm measuring as I go to make sure it's going to end up the right size. But yeah, so this is the finished product of the sketches.
Oh my gosh, I love that. I love the idea of doing the vector and then like that part makes sense to me. Like I would love to know how to do that. That is so cute.
Thank you.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh, that is fantastic. How did you learn how to do all of that? Just trial and error?
Yeah, I learned on YouTube how to crochet in general. So I watched a lot of your videos to learn how to
nice.
crochet and knit. So now I knit. I added knitting, but it's more of a hobby. But anyways, yeah, I learned how to crochet all on YouTube. My grandmother knit or was really young, but at that point I was not interested in it for whatever reason. And I wish I would have learned from her, but I just picked it up much later in life. And on YouTube, I really learned by watching someone do it. So a lot of like the books that I had that showed the stitches and things like that, they didn't register with me. It was too confusing to see pictures. So YouTube was so helpful because I could see from the perspective of the person making the thing, learning the stitches. And then from there, I just tried different patterns. And then from there, trying my own patterns like Henry. Like I came from Henry to the cloud. Like that's how far I've learned and honed my skills. Like, and it wasn't that long of a time period, but I just spent so much time doing it that I've gotten really kind of refined with amigurumi specifically.
I love it. I think it's awesome. I think it's just fantastic because it just goes to show really how, you know, if you have this passion to do something, really nothing stops you, right? You just figure it out and you learn. And YouTube is such a wonderful source, especially with so many different let's stick with knitting and crochet. There's so many different knitting and crochet videos out there, and every teacher has their own style. You know, my style is different from Donna Wolf's style. You know, like we all just have our own styles. And so what's great is that as a new person coming in, you can pick the best of all of us. You know what I mean? Like it's just it's good.
Yeah, and something great about amigurumi specifically is that it's so few stitches. So once you get like single crochet, you know, a decrease, an increase, magic ring, like you can, in a chain, you can pretty much do everything in an amigurumi pattern. And then once, oh, my cat has joined me.
That's okay.
Once you learn how to do those things and learn how to join, it's really like all you need to make a piece. And I really loved that about it, where as someone coming in as an entry-level crocheter, it's not that much you need to know to get started.
That's so cool. Now, what about the embroidery part, like the eyes and stuff? Like my friend Stacy Trock, she was talking to me the other day, not the other day, like a couple, like maybe last year. She has a class on Craftsy, but it was all about like the way the eyes and stuff are made, because it can make or break a character, so to speak. So how do you even how do you battle that?
Yeah, it's definitely something that has what I love most about making the amigurumi is the face because it adds so much personality.
Yes.
So it is really difficult to master. I want to make a YouTube video about it just because I feel like all of my items, I show how you can embroider an eye on it, but also where you can put like a safety eye. But like all of my faces I make with embroidery floss. And the biggest tip that I can possibly extend would be that you want to be embroidering through the stitch. So sometimes you feel like you might want to go in between a stitch, and that's where people kind of lose the straight lines, because once you go in between a stitch, it gives it so much more wiggle room. But when you're inserting your needle through the stitch, it makes it much more secure. So that would be the biggest tip I could offer about.
Oh my gosh, I have never thought of that. Like
Yep.
that's perfect. That's yeah, I could totally see that. Oh my gosh, you should totally do a YouTube video about all that. I think that's awesome.
Yeah, I definitely want to. It's just like, as I'm sure you can relate, when you own your own business and there's so many things I want to be doing, and it just keeps falling down the list of
Yeah.
priorities, and it's something I definitely want to do and I need to do.
Right.
But it's a one-woman show here.
I know. As I say, like my to-do list, like that's today's to-do list. Like it's huge. And
Yeah.
there's no way I'm going to get through all of it today. Like there's no, but I mean, like as something pops in my head, I write it down. I'm like, oh, I just want to go take a nap. Like that's not gonna happen. Yeah, I totally hear you. Okay, so let's talk about your book, Designer Amigurumi. How did that come to be? Because it's super cute.
Thank you. Yeah, it's actually a group book, and it was published by Tuva Publishing. And they reached out to me when I had just published one. I had one free pattern on my blog, and that was it. That was the only pattern I'd ever written. So it was kind of a leap of faith on their part that I would be able to execute a pattern for their book. But they reached out to me through Instagram, and pretty much every opportunity I've had has been through Instagram, which I think is amazing because that's kind of where I spend my most of my time.
Yeah.
So it's really nice that brands or companies and things like that are reaching out to me through Instagram. But so they discovered me through Instagram. And so, yeah, this is the book. And this Happy Girl is one of my patterns, and the Cheeky Bird is another one. But it has like Tornico, like a bunch of other amigurumi designers contributed to this book. So it's really nice because it has a lot of varying styles. This is another one that I did. This is the heart cat that I did as well. But it's great because it has so many different designers that you can find something you like in it. And I found through working through other people's designs, I always learn something new.
Oh yeah.
Like a different way to construct something, a different shaping technique, or a different way to attach. So I've really loved working through some of those patterns that aren't mine, just because I've learned from those designers as well.
Super cool. I love it. I'm gonna have this kind of morph into a conversation about Instagram because they found you on Instagram for this and stuff. I'm not gonna lie, I have struggled with Instagram because I just don't know what to put out there. Like I have friends who perfectly curate all of their Instagram images and everything's beautiful. Yours is beautiful. And I'm like I look at mine, I'm like, color, like it's everywhere. And it's just kind of like, I want to say it's a direct representation of kind of what my brain is. It's here's my family and here's my stuff and here's what I'm working on and here's something else. And here's like, I feel like I am all over the place. Talk to me about your Instagram strategy. And then I'm going to have that transition into your photography and then go into your class, just kind of so you can see where my train of thought is.
Excellent. Yeah. So Instagram for me, it's always been, I opened my business Instagram, and what I've noticed of different brands and Instagrammers that use their account for their business, the one thing that they do is keep it primarily focused on their business. So like that's one thing I try to do is, if I'm going to 4th of July weekend somewhere, then I'll post that maybe in my stories, but it wouldn't make my feed because the people that are there following me although they like me and they're there for me and my design aesthetic and things like that, it's just kind of gonna conflict with my like single-minded message of tiny curl. So I try to keep all of my posts pretty much focused on crochet or my process or something in creative living, something that's really aligned with what I feel Tiny Curl's mission is. And then the stories is where I can play. So I always share bits of my day, I chat, I do cat dances every Friday where I dance with my cats. So it's really like the stories is where I keep it more personal, just because I feel like I can talk more freely to all my followers. And I like that stories, they disappear. So unless you highlight them and save them, they're just there for a brief moment. So I feel like it's easier to post things up to the minute. So that's with Instagram. And I've just found that a lot of the people that I've been following, anytime that I reach out to them for advice or anything like that, all of them have been open books, which has been so helpful in starting my business. So like Mandy from Crochet by Renegade, she's a huge crochet Instagrammer.
Yeah, I follow her.
She was one of the first where even when I had not that many followers, she started following me, and she bought a curly when I was still selling, doing more product based, and had really helped me in understanding kind of the ropes of Instagram as a crochet business, and was just like a really amazing supportive friend, which is amazing because she's such a popular crocheter. But that's how I found Instagram to be. You can connect with people so easily because it's the one person behind the account. So when you message me on Instagram, it's me, and it's me who's responding, and I typically respond to everyone who messages me. So I feel like it's a really great platform for connecting personally with makers, designers, and businesses and things like that.
That's so great. I love that. I feel like, I mean, not that this is like some sort of therapy session or anything. I feel like my Instagram, definitely I bleed into it a lot more than what you do. Um and then I'm like, but you know what? Like, I feel like it is me. It's weird. I don't know. I feel like I'm in this weird sort of world where it's me, it's about my art, but then it's me and people want me and then they want that. Like, I don't know. I feel like I'm just like torn all over the place. So I envy you.
No,
I,
I
I,
definitely, when you add more personality to your feed, it does you, and especially because you got started on other platforms, so people are following you to Instagram and really want to see you. Where I got started on Instagram and people started following me because of my work, so it's harder for me to bring my personality or more of me into my feed now, just because that's where I started, kind of thing. So I want to bring more personality to my feed and make it more authentic, because I feel like that's definitely something that Instagram needs more of, is authenticity and not as many perfect things. And it's just a hard balance, because that's what resonates with a lot of people. That's what I like to see, is beautiful images, but I also want some personality and realness.
Well, I think you do a great job. I think your Instagram feed is beautiful. Those of you out there who are wondering what it is, they're like, they keep talking about it, but what is it? It's Tiny Curl, you guys. So if you're on Instagram, just search Tiny Curl and you'll find it. And it's beautiful. Like it's gorgeous. So let's talk about photography, because Instagram is all about the pretty picture. And you take excellent pictures. Like, so, how did you learn to take pictures? Do you just kind of go with what you think looks good? Like, tell me. Like, I mean, I'm literally, the floor is yours, because I don't even know where to start. So you go for it.
Okay, so I learned photography. I took a photography class in college. So I got my master's degree in communication and advertising. So it was kind of a joint program with marketing communications and like art direction. So the art direction side really helped me to learn how to use Illustrator, Photoshop, a lot of the things that I use every day. And then it also taught me how to take photos and light a photo and stage a photo. So I took a lot of that from the class that I took, but now there's so much online that I don't think I needed the class. Like, I could learn now. So I don't want me having taken a class in college not dissuade anyone from learning how to take photography or learning how to use a digital camera and things like that. But with my photography, I try to take the pictures I stage all of my pictures. So I have like a little table. It's super simple. It's like a table, a poster board, and then like either a poster board sweep or like a poster board in the back. Super simple. But I always make sure it's lit well, which is like the number one thing that makes a photo good or makes it bad is the lighting. So I always try to keep really good lighting. And then for props, I keep it really simple. So I mainly make the doll the center of the photo, and then the lighting, and then whatever backdrop I'm using. So I like to maybe stage them together and things like that. So that's pretty much my photography. I try to keep it as simple as possible. And then in editing, I edit in Photoshop. I just really change the brightness and things like that. But leading into my Skillshare class, which you mentioned,
Exactly.
because that better summarizes it. Because in my Skillshare class, I pretty much laid out every single thing I do to take my pictures. And the thing with my Skillshare class was I wanted to make it so simple because it's what I wanted to know when I was starting taking product photography for Instagram. So how to position your table in conjunction with your light source, where to put your camera, where to put your product, to use a bounce to reflect the light back onto your product. So it's extremely simple. Like you're not going to be able to be a product photography professional after this point, but I wanted it to be simple for handmade business owners who are a one-person shop that need to take their own pictures, and to start with things that you can find in the dollar store. So all of the products, you use a sun as your light source, so that's free. You know, backdrops are white poster boards. A camera, you can use your phone camera. Phone cameras are super high tech now and take really great pictures now.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't even need a professional level camera. And then you can just edit it in your phone. So I show how to use your phone as your main camera or a digital camera, which is what I use just because I have it. But yeah, I wanted to keep it as simple as possible. And it really is every single step I do to take my pictures.
I love it. So, I mean, Skillshare, I don't know if I'm living under a rock. I've never heard of Skillshare before. Is it like Lydia.com? Or I mean, I'm honestly, I just don't know.
Like Linda, is that what you're?
Linda, yeah. What did I say? Lydia?
Lydia, same thing.
You know, tomato.
Yeah.
Yeah, Linda.
Linda, yeah. So it's similar to Linda in that it's online video classes.
Okay.
So Linda is much more technical. So Linda is where you would learn how to use Photoshop from front to end. Like
Okay.
to be really proficient in Photoshop, I would go to Linda. But on Skillshare, a Photoshop class would maybe be how to edit your photos in Photoshop. So it's much more specific, I would say. There still are broad classes, but I would say you could find way more specific classes on Skillshare, and they're made either by professionals, so they'll get, you know, a professional photographer to teach a class, or like someone like me who is not a professional photographer, but I use photography every day for my business. So I approach photography in a very different way than a professional photographer would. So I'm probably committing photography sins that a professional photographer wouldn't ever do, but my way makes it extremely simple for someone who doesn't want to be a professional photographer.
Okay.
So it's kind of like you'll find a lot of everything on Skillshare, mainly in the creative realm. So like how to make a watercolor flower painting, how to finances for a handmade business, pretty much everything, but I feel like it revolves mainly around creative businesses.
Cool. Fantastic. So, how did you get that gig?
I just started it. So you can anyone can become a Skillshare teacher. So
Okay.
you can create a video class and post it to Skillshare. And then for me, what happened was I made a Skillshare class, and then Skillshare featured it as one of their featured classes. So more people saw it, because there's a lot of classes now on Skillshare. It's gotten a lot bigger. But thankfully, they really liked my class, so they featured it. So I got a big boost of students in the beginning. But I really just made it because I was getting so many questions from people that follow me on Instagram or otherwise that were asking me how I take my pictures. And I really just wanted a resource for them to go to answer every single question that I could possibly answer for them about my photography. And it served that purpose, but also it's expanded my business in that people are finding me now from Skillshare.
Fantastic. I love this. I love that you've done that. Like, what a wonderful career you've built, not kind of, that you've built for yourself. I've got to ask, how did Tiny Curl? Where's the name from?
Well, my husband calls me Curl because I have curly hair. So it's pretty like obvious. And Tiny Curl, I just felt like it was something that could be very broad. So I didn't want something that was, crochet in the name or amigurumi in the name, because I didn't want to limit myself to just sticking within that. Because like photography, for example, doesn't necessarily have anything to do with crochet. So I didn't want to limit myself in any way. So Tiny Curl could be anything.
I love it.
And it just represents me, and they're kind of like tiny little me's. So
I think it's awesome. And then your logo, how did you come up with that? Did you draw that?
yeah, I made it myself. I don't know. I just liked the bubble in the sense that when I combined it with pictures of my dolls, it was like they were saying it. And so I liked that it felt very friendly and bright and fun. And that really is what I want my brand to communicate is bright, friendly, and fun. So I felt like the logo was really reflective of that.
Perfect. We have a lot of people over in the chat room. They're all saying hello. They're very excited to get to know you. A couple questions. So let's see here. Okay, so that's commenting. They love to use cotton. They're like, I love using cotton. They really love cotton. They want to know what your kitty's name is.
So I have 3 cats. Alfie is the one that's over there. Maybe I can pan to him. He's in the box over there. He likes to sleep in boxes. And then the gray one that was in the shot as well is Doodle. And then I have a really fat cat named Percival.
Nice. I love it. I love it. People are commenting. They feel like Instagram has a much more positive feel than Facebook. I can concur with that, you guys. You know what? I think it's just something about it's a lot less talky than, I love Facebook. I love Facebook. And I love the talk and the conversing back and forth, but Instagram, it's all about the pretty pictures, and there's something about just looking through the pretty pictures, it's nice. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, I think that it is picture moments and things like that I feel like I've really connected with a lot of people over Instagram and like messages. So when I post a story and someone sends me a message, then it's not just pictures underneath. So on the surface, definitely it's pretty pictures and beautiful aesthetics and design. But I think underneath is a big community of people that are just wanting to have a positive creative space to share in community, especially for people like me that work alone at home by myself, that Instagram has become kind of my workspace where I can chat and connect with other makers who are also home alone, working on their own thing, whether they're stay-at-home moms or whatever it is.
Right.
So I feel like it's connecting people that, would be lonely otherwise doing their creative work.
Right. I totally agree with you. And the below the surface stuff. So true story. Tamara from Moogly Blog was out here a couple months ago, maybe. And she's talking to me about stories because I'm like, I don't understand these. Like, I don't understand. She goes, just anything. Just you see something, take a picture and share it. She's like, just do anything. And I'm like, and people can comment. She goes, yeah. She says, right up here in this corner, there's this little like arrow or something like that. I said, I don't have that. And she goes, what do you mean you don't have that? She picks up my phone and looks. She goes, because you have 22 messages. And I was like, oh, I said, I didn't know what that was. So she clicks it. She's all, here's your messages. This is where they're coming. I was like, oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't know. But it's just because I just didn't know. I didn't know. Yeah. Caitlin is saying, yay, Dollar Tree. She's excited because she was just there today. Somebody else wants to know, my phone makes my photography skills look a lot better than they are. And then how do you decide the backdrop for your photography?
Mainly I use white. And if you're in doubt, use white because it makes editing it really easy. You can always set the background as your white balance or make sure that that's a true white. So it makes editing easier if you use a white background, but I like to use colored backgrounds as well, depending on the piece. Oh my God, my cat's attacking my other cat. Let me let my cat out really quick.
You're good.
He loves to attack everyone. I'll show
You're
him.
good.
This is
Oh,
Judy.
look how cute. I
He's
love kitty cats. My husband is terribly allergic to cats, so we can't have cats.
Oh,
I
I
know.
love
We
that.
do have 3 dogs and 3 kids. So we
Oh
kind
wow.
of have a full house, but I would love a little kitty. Not gonna lie.
Yeah.
So
But
you
yeah,
do
so
colored
yeah,
backgrounds.
colored backgrounds I love because it doesn't matter how messy my house is, you just slap a colored background there, looks
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah.
And sometimes I'll do like a white backdrop with like a wood plank that I got from Walmart. So everything I use is really inexpensive.
Yeah.
And just kind of like I get ideas from other makers or from Pinterest. There's amazing photography ideas there that I'll try, but I try to keep it simple.
Cool. In your Skillshare class, do you show how to balance color and such like that? Okay.
Yeah. So I have a one section towards the end is how to edit your images, both using a computer, so Photoshop, and then on the iPhone editing app, but any phone editing app will work. But it's just about balancing like the brightness with the contrast, the shadows, to get to where you like the image. But I don't mess around with it too much.
Right. Another question is, well, so I have a question. Do you use a light box?
No, I
No.
use just the sun. So I position it really close to a big window.
Okay.
And I use a white sweep, so a poster board that goes down so that your item is on the poster board that's on the bottom and in the back, and then a reflector. So it's kind of like it's the principles of a light box, but using the sun.
Okay.
Because when I use artificial light, I can never get it to look as good as it does with the sun. It's just the best light source.
Yeah.
I've gotten artificial lights because sometimes I want to work at night, but it just never looks as good for me.
Got it. So another question is, how do you photograph bigger projects like blankets or garments?
Yeah, so you can get it's a little more expensive when you're photographing something bigger than a product, like a small thing. A bigger product, what you can get is one of the photo backdrop sweeps. It's a longer roll of paper. You can get it from Amazon or something like that. It's around maybe $30. So if you got a white one, it's really long roll of paper that'll last you a long time. And maybe it's like you can get 2 feet wide, 3 feet wide as you need it. So then what you would do would be to either tape it to the wall as much as you need, and get in front of it wearing it, or hang your blanket in a certain way, or put it all on the floor and take it from above using a ladder. So you can use the same principles that I've used in my product photography class. You just have to go bigger scale with it.
Got
So
it.
it's all the same principles. It's just bigger things.
I love it. I love it. Nikki is asking, is there a Skillshare app?
I think there is an app for Skillshare. So you can watch all of your Skillshare classes on your phone. I'm not sure if there's an app or if it's just the website on your phone, because I haven't used it. But I think either they have it already or they're developing it. But it's just a website that you would put on your phone to see the videos.
So Josie is asked, or she says she uses fabric for her background. Do you ever use fabric?
I've tried to use fabric. What I found is unless it's a really heavy canvas, the wrinkles show. So if you're using like a white blanket or a white sheet, it's really hard to get that perfectly smooth. So you're going to see some sort of texture in the background. If you got a heavier canvas that doesn't really show wrinkles, that might work. But I've just found paper is easier because if it gets dirty, I can throw it away. I can, recycle it and pull a new paper.
That's awesome. Kiwi Cordell is saying that's good suggestion about the ladder. A lot of times she stands on a chair. Don't fall, Kiwi. That would be me. I'd be like, hold me. Let's see here. Irma is saying so many great tips about photography. My pictures are not very good sometimes. If you had one suggestion to give somebody about photography, what would it be? I kind of have an idea, but
it would be to use light.
Yep.
So make sure your light is good. And for me, that means moving my couch in the front room all the way out off the wall. So rearranging my whole living room.
Yeah.
putting a folding table there, or like an ottoman or something I can pull from another space in my home, putting my items there and taking my pictures there. Although it's kind of a struggle to move all of those things, if I don't do that, it just doesn't look as good because the lighting is not going to be right.
Right. I totally hear you. One of the struggles I have, so my studio is in the basement, and so I have these really huge window wells, but it's only certain times a day I get some sunlight in here, not a whole lot. So I have a lot of artificial light in here, but I do have areas in my house that I have good sunlight. But it's tricky. You have to mess around and play with it quite a bit.
Yeah.
So I love that you are definitely suggesting that people, don't be afraid to move things, guys. So Cristina, here on the podcast, we always give away prizes, and I think that you have a couple prizes to give away. One to somebody who is listening live to the broadcast today, and one to somebody who leaves a comment on the show notes. Is that correct?
Yes.
Do you want to give people an idea of what it is they're going to? So let me have you pause there just for a second. So because I know it doesn't matter what she's going to say here for a minute, you guys want to win whatever it is because that's how we roll. If you are watching live right now and you're part of the live chat room, what I want you to do is I want you to do a couple things. One, I want you to make sure that you have liked this video. Give it a thumbs up. Two, if you have not subscribed yet to the Marley Bird YouTube channel, please do that. And three, I want you to type "I want to win" in the chat room, and I will randomly select a winner that writes "I want to win," and they will get a prize. And what will that prize be, Cristina?
So you can either pick between my Skillshare class, so it's a 20-minute product photography basics class, and you'll get a free access link to it. So it's on a premium Skillshare class, but you'll have a lifetime free access link to take the class and re-access it whenever you want. So that's one. Or you could pick any two of my patterns that are in my shop. So I have my dolls here, so I can show you what those patterns are. So this is one pattern. This is Monsieur Bear.
I love that.
He's a little French bear. And then this is my Uni Queen pattern. So
love it.
Magical unicorn. And then also the curly pattern.
Super cute.
And then I have other patterns that are available in my shop that are also free patterns on my website. So whichever ones, two of those.
Very cool. And you say in your shop, you mean your Etsy shop?
Yeah.
Fantastic.
And they're in Ravelry as well.
And Ravelry. Sweet. So a lot of people are writing, "I want to win." And while they're doing that, go ahead and take a drink of water or something if you want. I'm going to let people know how they can win if you're not listening live. So if you're not listening live, that's okay. We know that sometimes life gets in the way and you can't join us live on the podcast broadcast. So we always have a chance for you to win as well. You will notice that in the video description box of this video, and that is usually right below this video. If you're on a desktop, you'll see it's right below. If you're on your mobile, you'll see like a little V, it's, like a caret symbol. You have to click that in order for the video description to be displayed, but you'll see a link to the show notes right there in the video description. When you go to the show notes, you will find a brief synopsis about, things we might have spoken about, some links, some images, all the stuff that you might need to know will be available there in the show notes. At the bottom of the show notes, make sure you find the area that says leave a reply or leave a comment. Click on that and leave a reply or a comment that uses the keyword Christina's going to give us here in just a minute, as that is like your golden ticket. That's your proof that you watched the show. So when you leave your reply with the keyword, that enters you for a chance to win the prize. It's actually the same prize that she just mentioned for the live giveaway. Right? Yeah. As I'm reading this, I'm like, yes, that's what it is. So make sure you leave a reply. Now, how do you know if you've won there? Well, we usually pick a winner about 4 to 6 weeks after the original air date of the podcast. Why so late? Well, a couple reasons. One, because we know, again, your lives are so busy and sometimes you can't listen to the show or watch the show until life kind of slows down a little bit, or maybe you're traveling or whatever it may be. We want to give you a chance to listen to the show and have a chance to win. The second reason is because my life is just as crazy and I'm traveling and doing stuff all the time. So sometimes we don't get back to a chance to give away the prize for about 4, 6, 8 weeks. So that's why there's often a long time between giveaways. So once we go and it's time to give away that prize, Caitlin goes in, randomly selects a winner, make sure that the keyword is used, and then we will announce it here on the show. We email that person and let them know they've won whatever the prize it is, and that's the way it works. So, for example, we had the lovely Angela Hahn on the podcast back, let's see, 4/24/18. So that's April 24th, I think. And she was the one who was the author of Knitted Tanks and Tunics, if you remember. She had a wonderful sort of show and tell there on the podcast of things that were made in the book, and I thought it was really a lot of fun. And so she is giving away a copy of her book, and her keyword was knitted takes and tunics. So the lucky commenter, and this again, it's randomly selected, and they're selected from the show notes comments. You guys, that's really important. Your comment must be left on the show notes, okay? Is Rosa Ruffolo. It might be Rose. I'm sorry, Rose Ruffolo. It's because it's written in one long word. There's no separation. Rose Ruffolo. I cracked myself up. Okay, it says, just the book I've been longing for. I can't wait to make these tanks and tunics. Which one will I choose first? Tanks is for the chance to win this fabulous book. Get it? Tanks, like thanks, tanks. Tanks for a chance to win this fabulous book. Sorry, I couldn't help myself. So Rose, congratulations. You're the lucky winner of this fabulous book. You will be receiving an email directly from us, winner@yarnthingpodcast.com, and with all the details of what you need to do in order to get the book. So congratulations to Rose. So it's that simple, you guys. So for a chance to win a prize from Cristina, you must go to the show notes. Again, the link to those is always underneath the video description, or in the video description box underneath the video. Or if you just go to marleybird.com, click on podcast, you'll see show notes. Find the show notes for the show you're looking for, and there you go. And we will give that prize away in a couple weeks. We have a prize to give away now, too. First, the key word you want to use in your comments is, Cristina, do you want to tell them?
It's serendipity.
Serendipity, you guys. Make sure you use the keyword serendipity when you're leaving your comment on the show notes at marleybird.com, and you are entered for a chance to win. And those of you who are listening live, you didn't have to use any keyword. You just had to write, I want to win. There's quite a few of you who are here joining us. Welcome, guys. So, Cristina, what I'm going to do is I am going to scroll up and down through all of the comments, and you are going to tell me to stop. And when I stop, wherever my cursor is, that's going to be the lucky winner.
Got it.
All right. So you tell me when.
Okay. Stop.
Oh, stop. Okay. So this is Carla Carter. Carla Carter, looking at Cristina's Instagram. So cute. Great pictures of adorable amigurumi. Oh, but she didn't say I want to win. So I gotta scroll again. That's the wrong one. Oh, Carla, we're happy for you, but we didn't get I want to win. So I'm gonna scroll again. You tell me. Of course, she's the one, like in between tons of people that say I want to win. All right, so scrolling, you tell me when. Oh, stop. There it is. Here, she wrote it up top here.
Okay.
Maybe we give it to her.
Yeah, let's
wrote it up top here, because there she is. All right, Carla Carter, you are the winner. We're you know what? It's my show. I can do what I want. So, Carla Carter, you are the winner. Congratulations. You get to choose between the Skillshare class or 2 of Cristina's patterns. So hopefully you will comment here and let me know what you want to win. Let's see here. I'm going to tell her to email. I have to always write this out right now. Email me winner@yarnthingpodcast.com, and she'll let us know what it is she won. Pretty cool, pretty simple. I love giving away stuff. I think it's like the best thing ever. I love it. It's like Christmas. I'd much rather give away stuff at Christmas than open presents. Like, it's one of those weird things, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, other people are saying, oh, I gave it to her. Yep, I did, guys. We kept it real. She's saying thank you very much. All right. So super cool. I feel like we've talked about everything. I'm going to look at my talking points here. Your book, your Instagram, your blog. What do you write on your blog?
Well, I share free patterns there. I also share yarn reviews, book reviews, tips, and kind of just creative life essays as well. So a lot of different things there, but definitely free patterns is what you're going to want. So
Yeah, right. That's everybody wants the free patterns. That's so great. I love that. This has been such a great conversation. I love that it was more than just about crochet. It was a combination of, it's crochet, it was business, it was Instagram, it was design, it was photography. I mean, just all of this put together. Did you ever think you'd be doing something like this?
no, I have always wanted to be doing something creative, and I kept being pulled by it, but then nothing ever stuck until I discovered crochet. And it's just really my tool and my paintbrush for my creative outlet. And then my grander passion is just living a creative life is my ultimate passion and goal.
That's so great. So if you had one piece of advice for somebody who wants to live the same life you're living and the same adventure you're doing, what would that be?
Um, my advice would be to find the one thing that you can't stop doing, because that's going to be the ticket into what your passion is. So even if you love something, like I loved illustration, but it just wasn't something I always wanted to do. And crochet was that for me. So I made that into, I turned that into my paintbrush and my pencil. So that would be my advice, is find the one thing that you can't stop doing, and that's your ticket into creative life.
I would absolutely agree with that. I would absolutely agree. So the last thing I'm going to have you do is give a shout out to all the different places people can find you on social media, so that way they can watch you more often. Obviously, there's Instagram where you're Tiny Curl, but I'll let you say all the others.
Yes, so I'm mostly on Instagram at Tiny Curl. I also have a Facebook page, a YouTube that I want to put more videos onto right now, but a YouTube. I'm a Skillshare teacher, so you can find my profile on Skillshare. My blog is tinycurl.co, so I post there about once a week or twice a week. Am I forgetting something? Pinterest, I pin things. It's Tiny Curl.
Just about Tiny Curl everywhere. I love it. And in Ravelry, you're Tiny Curl.
Tiny Curl.
So, I love it. So people can find you just about everywhere. And just so everybody knows, we did put all of that information in the show notes as well, so you can find it there. And Cristina, thank you so much. This was just delightful getting to meet you.
Thank you. It was a
Very
pleasure
cool.
meeting you.
Very cool. All right, everybody. That wraps up today's podcast with Cristina of Tiny Curl. I hope you really had a good time. I know that I enjoyed the conversation. It's always, to me, I feel like you guys are like a fly on the wall. You get to like just sneak in on a little first date with people. And that's exciting, because that's what I love to do when I'm watching other people's podcasts. It's just kind of fun. So I want to remind you that I will be attending Stitches Midwest the start of August. And there is a contest for all of the teachers, you guys. So I will make sure to put a link in the video description box below. So if you are anywhere in the Midwest area and you've considered taking some classes with me live, I would love for you to join me. All you need to do is click that link and go check out some of the classes and see if maybe you're able to attend a Stitches event with me. And Stitches is also a sponsor of this podcast, so you can check out stitches.events. The other sponsors, which we love, are craftsy.com, Creative Bug, where I will be next Tuesday. So there is no podcast next Tuesday. I will be in San Francisco with Creative Bug doing a Facebook Live. So you will be able to check me out at 4 o'clock Pacific time on the Creative Bug Facebook page. And we'll be doing something fun there with Faith. Faith and I always have a good time when we're over there. Let's see. So I said Craftsy, I said Creative Bug, I said Stitches.events, Erin Lane Bags, who has something really big and special going on tomorrow. So you want to make sure that you are part of the Erin Lane Bags Facebook page, you guys. Something really, really great. You don't want to miss your shot. That's a huge, huge hint. So wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Don't give up your shot. Don't miss your shot. You're not going to miss the shot. Come on, just go do it. And then Buffalo Wool Company. And last but not least, Red Heart Yarns, where I'm the proud national spokesperson. Thanks for joining us today. And thank you, Cristina.
Thank you.
Bye, guys.